Hey everybody, welcome to the channel, glad to have you here. And today we have a 2v2 battle here in the Mushroom Cave, which is fun. Not a map you get to see all too often, but it is very fun. There's a couple of distinct features. Usually the main fighting comes down this way because of this shallow water that you can see I'm exploiting with my unbreakable units over here. In the shallow water will make it a lot more, it will make units move a lot slower through it and have a lot less melee attack. So now we'll just head over to the army comps. You can see I do have the Regiment of Renown Wardens of Montfort over here. These are mounted yeomen with huge ranged attack, I think of 56 and poison damage, so pretty powerful unit. Then over here I do have some mounted yeomen as well, just because I had some 600 left over. My main line is 3 foot squires. I wasn't sure if I was going to be fighting black orcs or other things, so I figured I would need some foot squires to hold the line, and they do have 2 men-at-arms meat shields in front of them just to prevent them from taking a charge. Supporting these guys, I do have a guerrilla reliquae, because they do have that extremely nerfed leadership. Behind, I do have a Damsel of Heavens, which was fun. I brought Uranan's Thunderbolt, Curse of the Midnight Wind, and Harmonic Convergence, who I'm going to be dropping on some of my more valuable units. For my air squad, of course, I do have Royal Hippogriff Knights and Leon Kerr, this is the combo I love to bring, and very powerful, hard-hitting death squad. I do have a Blessed Field Trebuchet in the back. I got the Holy Wardens of Mesontal, I think is how you pronounce it, and these guys are terrifying with their great stats, magic and flaming damage. And then I do have 2 men-at-arms with polearms in the back, ready to catch some large targets. And then over here, supporting my allies' line, I do have the Beast Slayers of Baston. You can see my ally here does have a ton of greatswords, 6 greatswords as a main line, which is very sturdy. He's got 3 handgunners in the back. He's got 4 swordsmen in reserve defending his flanks, and these 2 Hellstorm rocket batteries. And then he does have 2 units of Reichsguard, as well as Karl Franz up in the air, all angry on Deathclaw. He does have a whopping 555 armor-piercing damage. And then to support Karl Franz, he does have a Jade Wizard here with Earthblood and Dwellers Below. So we have 2 over here. You can see my skirmisher troops are getting Hammer of Gorked, and it's done a ton of damage. And I really haven't been able to put any damage down on these guys. They do have shields, really not the best target. But you can see my opponent has a main line of forest goblins who do have lethal poison, so as long as they're in combat, they're dealing damage over time to the enemy. They've got the Ragnarok Queen, a back line of night goblins and black orcs. You can see some black orcs with shields, and the Crimson Killers back there. He's got just a ton of night goblins, like a second line. He's got some Orc Boarboy Biggins. He's got Skarsnik, a Hammer of Gork, and a Rock Lobber, so he's got 2 Rock Lobbers there. Yeah, and these Crimson Killers. So they're going to be advancing here, and of course he does have that little wah. Over here, main line of Orc Boys and Savage Orcs. Backing them up, some Savage Orc Biggins, and Savage Orc Biggins. He's got the new unit, Black Orc Biggins, who are a pretty terrifying melee unit. They do have sword and board and armor piercing. What is this ability? Do they have wah? Oh, Black Orc Bellow, so they give a little bit of a leadership bonus to everything around them. Over here, some Orc Boar Boys. He's got some Forest Goblin Spider Riders and the Death Creepers, who are stock poisoned skirmisher cav with an armor-piercing melee attack. He does have just a Ragnarok Spider, and then he's got 2 Goblin Big Bosses, a Night Goblin Shaman, and Wurzag here on foot. See him running along. And then in the pool over here, there's another Rock Lobber. So we'll get started here. You can see starting to open fire with my Wardens of Montfort. Just not the best target for them, but there really wasn't a good target at all for this front line. So any damage I can put down on this Queen early is going to help. Over here you can see the Hellstorm Rocket Battery is doing some good work on this main line. And you can see, luckily, he does not have a lot of armor piercing. I think only these Orc Biggins have armor piercing. So hopefully these great swords will hold out, but they are taking fire from a lot of the artillery. And you can see one of the Hellstorms shooting over here. Over here you can see I charged the mounted yeoman in, did some good damage to those spider hatchlings. And these boar biggins are going to be charging in here, which is pretty ideal for me. I do have these Grail Knights who regenerate hit points. So if I can bait these guys into a fight here, then it's going to turn out pretty well for me, especially if I can get some rear shots with these Wardens of Montfort. So you can see these guys are going to get charged. And these Grail Knights should lay a smacking on these boar biggins, especially with some mounted yeoman help. Over here you can see the Spider Queen has engaged, getting some swordsmen on these boar boys. They're going to trade actually decently. Oh, these are great swords. But you can see they did disrupt some of these handgunners. And you can see he's moved one of these handgunners over here to open fire on this Ragnarok Queen, because I sillily forgot any sort of range to deal with that. But I'm hoping my Grail Knights and kind of my Hippogriff squad will have enough to deal with that. Over here you can see I think I did cast Harmonic Convergence on my Grail Knights, so a whopping 86 melee defense is going to make these guys have a really hard time pulling through. And you can see they are hit by that Itchy Nuisance cast, which is going to help them quite a bit. Over here you can see Curse of the Bad Moon is coming down on my main line, and I'm going to be trying to dodge it, but I don't think I do too well. But you can see definitely a little short on the micro. These Foot Squires definitely need to be getting in here and supporting this main line. You can see my Hippogriff Knights are going over there to help finish these guys off, because I saw the Itchy Nuisance was kind of stopping that from happening. Here, yeah, you can see the Spite of the Bad Mood coming down. And I did charge my stuff away from it, but it's going to hit these Foot Squires. You can see it's dealing a decent amount of damage, taking them about half health. Oh, man. And debuffing them quite a bit. So definitely not the best. Over here you can see I have dealt with that Orc Boar Boy Biggin. They're terrified. Now I just need to get away from these Forest Goblin Spider Riders, who with their poison are going to make life a little bit difficult. You can see my Trebuchet is doing a bit of damage to these Black Orcs, but they're quickly entering within range, and you can see these Reiksguard are going to get rear charged by these Orc Boar Boy Biggins. Good job here counter-charging these guys, not letting them get a rear charge on you, because that will definitely eliminate your forces very quickly. You can see these Beast Slayers are finally in here, and with the support of these handgunners, I don't think they might not have an attack order on that guy, which is very sad. But you can see these guys are lining up, ready to tee off. You can see I'm pulling out a lot of my stuff here. I want to let essentially my Battle Pilgrims hold the line, my Grail Pilgrims, Battle Pilgrims. And I saw that Queen coming in, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to take that engagement, but I think I'm going to go back in on it, because I knew I have to deal with it at some point. And I do have these Men-at-Arms with Polearms coming in here to help. And you can see nice Curse of the Midnight Wind getting dropped, along with that Sword of Corone. So you can see that melee defense there is 6, and the melee attack is 42. So definitely trying to buff up my troops. You can see my Mounted Yeomen, of course, are terrified. And I really probably should have used these guys to come around here and start attacking this stuff. You can see my Mounted Yeomen just have been shooting away all game, trying to get a decent amount of kills. And you can see over here these Greatswords are just trading super cost effectively, I think, against this main line. They've crushed through a lot of this stuff. You can see the handgunners are getting, it looks like a spell cast on them maybe. But you can see the Ragnarok Queen is definitely struggling in this fight against the Beast Slayers and is taking a decent amount of damage. Handgunners opening fire on these Savage Orc Brigands, which is a pretty good target. And you can see that these Hellstorms are opening fire as well. Probably won't deal too much damage to their own friendlies, but definitely getting some friendly fire in there. That was actually a pretty good shot. It didn't hit any of the enemies, but it didn't hit them, which is very good. And you can see my front line is not doing super well. These Black Orcs will cut through almost all of this, I think. But you can see my Grail Relikwe coming in to try and buff these guys. And you can see here he is sneaking through a unit of Savage Orc Brigands in single file, very un-orc-like. So I'm going to be bringing my Celestial Wizard over here and my Holy Wardens of Montfort to try and go deal with them. And these guys will do pretty well just because they have magic damage, and it'll get through that physical resist of the Savage Orc Brigands. You can see here my Men-at-Arms are also going over there to kind of help that main line. But you can see in the middle it is just an atrocious trade. Really nothing's happening here. There's so much debuffs going down. And you can see my Grail Knights, my Hippogriff Knights, and Leon Leoncoeur all in here. Even Karl Franz is in here. But this Queen is holding out very well. But you can see my battle pilgrims are preventing this flank from being exploited. My mounted yeomen have finally started to come back. You can see, I think he's been dropping some brain bursters over here to hurt these guys. It's dealing good damage and nice targeting these guys. Shooting at these guys as they come through was a great move because this is kind of the one target on the battlefield they can attack without risking themselves. And over here, yeah, you can see there's just a big old main line going on. And you can see over here, these guys are just gonna... Oh, it looks like the Biggins are gonna rush into the back of my line, crack some of the leadership, but I'm gonna sandwich in on them with my Holy Wardens. You can see my Celestial Wizard is in here as well. You can see my ally does pull out Karl Franz, and he's gonna go use him to help his side. And you can see I'm sending my mounted yeoman over there as well. And just look at this handgunner fire. Trying to use the mass of some of this stuff. Nice Dwellers from below is going to catch this Savage Orc Biggin unit. And you can see this huge big blob of Empire troops. Hopefully they don't go into their own Dwellers. And you can see that this Hellstorm is just blowing up my own, a lot of my troops here, causing these guys to rout. I didn't know this happened in the battle, but taking some orcs with them, you can see these orcs, Savage Orc Biggins, have routed as well. So this sandwich kind of has gone okay. But you can see this main line is not going very well. He's brought some Black Orcs with shields in here. He's brought Skarsnik, the Goblin Big Boss, and an Ragnarok Queen. So this is not looking too good for me. And I did bring my Hippogriff Knights. I saw these Crimson Killers were coming around. So I brought my Royal Hippogriff Knights out. And then I'm going to get a nice rear charge here on these guys. Try and take them out with one of the few units that has armor piercing. And you can see my Lord is still kind of inundated with all these Grail Knights. So he's going to be doing okay. And he is Leon Leoncoeur, one of the best fighters, I think, in the old world. And you can see Harmonic Convergence coming down here. Just really trying to keep these Grail Knights alive. And kicking, keep them doing damage, inundating all this. I don't want Leon Leoncoeur to get too isolated and then crushed. Over here you can see some Night Goblins had pulled through. I brought my Battle Pilgrims, but they're gonna fight successfully off both of these units, which is pretty terrifying for a Regiment of Renown. But you can see this Battle Pilgrim doing pretty well against these Night Goblins. I don't think they count as in the water. Do only the Battle Pilgrims count as in the water, or is that's probably poison? Yeah. So you can see lethal poison and poison stacking there to just significantly lower their stuff. And so you can see over here my middle has routed. Handgunners are getting some nice shots though. These great swords doing very well. You can see Karl Franz over here. Nice use of Karl Franz finishing off this Ragnarok Queen. You can see my Beast Slayers are still kind of just following it around. And they'll be very helpful in the late game. You can see some Reichsguard as well, still very healthy. And those Hailstorm rocket batteries still protected. The Blessed Field Trebuchet is now, I think he's opening fire here on these Crimson Killers. Because I'm not too worried about my Trebuchet killing my own cav. You can see still a backline presence here. But there's a lot of great swords and swordsmen left over here. You can see the Reichsguard helping to run this guy down. Wardens of La Maisontal, you can see still doing pretty well. So we'll just go on regular speed here. You can see Leon Leoncoeur is starting to go down. Even my Hippogriff Knights are taking some damage, popping a heroic killing blow. Again, Itchy Nuisance coming down, Curse of the Midnight Wind going down on him. That armor reduction will really help the Grail Knights. It won't really help the Hippogriff Knights too much, but any damage is good damage. I mean, taking any damage off the enemy is good. And so you can see here these Night Goblins still fighting off both these units. You can see just this horde of Empire stuff. You can see my Mounted Yeomen are doing decently well here against these Death Creepers, but with the additional spiders they will rout. And I sent the remains of the Wardens of Montfort over here, and they stopped the Hammer of Gore from firing for a little bit, but these routed units came back and helped finish them off. So you can see up here though, this is a very atrocious fight from a lot of elite units. And you can see once my kind of melee troops went away, this fight started going against me. You can see those Grail Knights taking a lot of damage. I brought some battle pilgrims in here, and then so their mass is going to stop all this stuff from chasing my lord, and it's going to allow Leon Kerr to kind of pull out here, because I have all these troops that I'm pulling through, and that's one of the best things to do. If I'd fled this way, I probably never would have gotten up, but since I fled through my own troops, it stopped that goblin big boss from chasing me, and I was able to get up. And I realized I was kind of losing this side. This is a tactic I really like to do. I lost this side of the battlefield. I need to go take my troops, not fight in a useless, atrocious trade, take my mobile stuff, and go help my ally, who is doing much better than me. And you can see here, nice job switching that artillery targeting onto some other stuff. So you can see over here, I'm going to come down and start taking out a lot of this leadership, because he brought 4 units of leadership, so we got to take him out somehow. So there, I route off that goblin big boss, and now I'm going after Wurzag here, giving my stuff time to regenerate. And I did have to leave my Grail Knights over here just to hold the line. They do break, of course, because this is too much, and I've kept my Blessed Field Trebuchet over here, just trying to do whatever it can to reduce this huge blob coming my way. You can see these battle pilgrims fighting to the very end. And you can see Wurzag here is not going to like this fight. He's surrounded by infantry. I've got... Oh man, just taken out. Tackled there. A lot of these Reichsguards still around. You can see Karl Franz is coming over here to help deal with this other big boss, as the Reichsguard kind of run rampant. But you can see here now that I've lost this side, and so now it's really just his forces versus the greenskins and my heroes. So you can see here Wurzag not liking this fight too much, but really not dying as fast as I thought I would with all this stuff. So I just pulled off these guys because I figured it was useless having all of them around, and I brought them over here to deal with these Black Orc Biggins, who I knew we needed some armor piercing to deal with. And then over here you can see this Hippogriff Knight has scared off Wurzag. And you can see, look at these pole arms fighting with the Grail Reliquary to the very end. I guess those are actually the Beast Slayers of Bastogne, so I used them to kind of hold up the enemy. You can see over here that the Ragnarok Queen is chasing this Jade Wizard. And so we kind of saw that this Ragnarok Queen was very far away from the greenskin lines. So you can see the Hippogriff Knights, Karl Franz, and Leon Kerr is going to head up here once this guy shatters. And we're all going to just dogpile on this guy. So you can see my Hippogriff Knights get there first, do some nice damage. They probably wouldn't be able to beat it by themselves, but Karl Franz with his incredible armor-piercing damage is going to come in here, get some nice damage, and then you can see Leon Kerr coming in the back. So this Ragnarok is just really going to get stun-locked to death with all this really high damage elite stuff around. Yeah. And you can see this guy just... You saw how long he lasted against almost the same force there, but he lasted that long just because he was inundated by ground troops. And ground troops really just stop these units from getting direct attacks on the Queen, and so they do far less damage. So over here you can see my Hippogriff Knights are making sure that Queen goes away forever, and you can see now that balance of power is shifting in our favor as we drop down on these Black Works, trying to deal with the armored infantry left on the field, because these swordsmen and the tattered great swords probably just can't take them. But over here you can see some Crimson Killers did come back. These Reichsguard are chasing off the Goblin Rockclobber crew and the Night Goblin War Boss. You can see Skarsnik over here is dueling Leon Kerr. Can't really see much because of the all the effects going on. I think it's the Sword of Corone coming down. You can see their Wa coming to counter it. But yeah, you can see... I wonder if I can check his leadership. Can I check one of mine? Yeah. So maybe I'm just not in the right angle. Yeah, there you can see army losses, -40. So that really helps to kind of just get these guys off the field and lowers him there enough to be terrified. So he's going to route pretty fast, and that is going to, I believe, spell the end for the greenskins here. Really nothing left to deal with the Hippogriff squad. You can see the Reichsguard getting a nice rear charge there. And now it's just this huge column of Night Goblins who are going to be butchering my Blessed Field Trebuchet, sending their dudes, they're spinning dwarves, which I always thought was my favorite thing. Pretty embarrassing. They probably, if they do survive, they probably have to take the Slayer Oath because they're getting spun around by goblins. And yeah, it's just going to be a mop up here. Try and get rid of these Night Goblins. I'm going to be sending my Hippogriff Knights to rend them into pieces. Probably not the best tasting food. But you can see just the amount of damage that these guys wreak when Leon Leoncoeur is leading them. It's like this is like 5,000 gold of stuff here. Tearing through some goblins. Definitely a huge investment. But yeah, great game. On the opposing team was Marcus Skine and Jack, leading the greenskins. And my friend Stubblefish and I were, as they like to say, corner camping. But the mushroom cave is not that big, and I didn't want to get stuck in that watery death pit. But you can see my foot squires here did not do very well. My pole arms as well doing okay. I guess my men at arms did what they needed to do. My field trebuchet getting a decent amount of kills. You can see the Wardens of Montfort actually with 100, more than I would have figured. Beast Slayers with 100 doing very well. My Grail Knights helping to keep my leadership and my Griffins, my Hippogriffs, alive. And you can see these guys got 2 chevrons, so definitely doing a lot of work. Wardens of Montfort, kind of expected them to do better. But we look over here, you can see the swordsmen actually did okay. Great swords, all held the line. Oh man, look at these Hellstorms getting a ton of kills, as always. And this Reichsguard racking up almost 200 kills and 110 here. And they both got a chevron. You can see the Night Goblin Shaman got a ton of kills with those Curse of the Bad Moons. More than I would have expected. And you can see the Force Goblins doing not too well, but you can see the Apex Loonies who took on like 2 of my units, got 163 kills. Black Orcs with shields and Black Orcs doing very well. Those poor Crimson Killers did get hip-griffed though. You can see the Hammer of Gork doing very well as well. Yeah, look at these Biggins, 131 kills against those great swords in the middle. That is very impressive work, and these Biggins doing work as well. But you can see these Savage Orc Biggins and these Savage Orcs, without that armor piercing, they just really didn't stand a chance against the armored greatsword line. Same with the Orc Boys. They're just a little bit outclassed there, and you can see even Wurzag getting a decent amount of kills. And I mean, for being surrounded by anti-large units and armor-piercing greatswords, I think the Ragnarok Spider did pretty well. And of course, the greenskin artillery always pays for itself, I think. Yeah, anyways, great game to Jack and Marcus Skine and Stubblefish for playing with me. Anyways, thanks so much, guys, for watching, and that's that.